Welcome back to another Kitchen Table Wargaming Battle Report with the Kitchen Table Wargamer. Tonight's going to be a combat patrol. We are playing a mission that is from the core rulebook, 40k core rulebook, and it is specifically for combat patrol. There are 4 objective markers placed. You have the 9-inch bubble in the center of the field where there's basically no man's land. You have 1 objective in each of the 4 corners, and it is a take and hold primary objective, as well as the ability to score secondary points. If you hold the 2 objectives that are not in either deployment zone, you will get 5 victory points for every turn that you hold both of those objectives outside the deployment zone, except for the first turn of the game. That is the only time you cannot score either the primary or the secondary. And the name of this, it's an Eternal War mission. Sorry, I forgot to say that. From the core rulebook, and the name of it is Outriders. So it's going to be a battle between Drukhari and Grey Knights, and we'll get the armies set up. I wanted to show the board first. We've got some pretty tall pieces of terrain, a ruined manufactorum of some kind here, out in a lunar scape, I guess you could say, with some rocks popping up here and there. So it'll be a very interesting game. Lots of line of sight blocking through the middle of the field until you get inside the middle, and then it's just going to be death and carnage. We'll be back with the armies. Been making some efforts to create lists for the Drukhari that are both durable and punchy. So we'll see if this one meets those criteria. The punchy part, I'm afraid of firepower wise might not be enough. So we'll see. We have 2 squads of racks. They're both going to be just bare bones, even though the squad on the left is modeled with some weapons. For points purposes and to get 2 sets of troops in, they're not actually carrying those weapons. You do have a homunculus in the middle. He's got the Vexator Mask, Diabolical Soothsayer for the Warlord trait, and yeah, that was it. Oh, and they're all Prophets of Flesh. I knew I was forgetting something. There's 3 Grotesques in the back, and then you have a Venom, and you have a Raider, and hopefully with just the durability of these troops, being Prophets of Flesh, getting the 4-up invul save, and then the 6-up power from pain, hoping that they can outlast the firepower coming from the Grey Knights, because they don't have a whole lot of really heavy weaponry. So we'll see what happens. Transports should keep them alive a little longer and give them some mobility. So it'll be an interesting game. The 500-point games, combat patrols, are intriguing, and planning and making lists for them is something that's a little trickier than it seems. It's just a lot of good options. And at 500 points, it's hard to pick and choose which ones are best. So probably the next time around, if this does not go so well, you'll see a lot more Kabalite warriors, or possibly even witches will be really good in a 500-point game. Just with speed, mobility, and getting them into combat can prove to be really, really effective with them. So we'll see. We will see. But for this game, for today, you got 500 points. This is a coven of Prophets of Flesh, 2 squads of racks, homunculus, 3 grotesques, venom, and a raider. And we'll come back with the Grey Knights list next. For the Grey Knights, we have a Purgation squad, 3 silencers, a side cannon, and then the Justicar. We have a Grandmaster with a hammer right here in the middle. He is actually not the Warlord. I was about to say he was. The Brotherhood champion here to the right is the Warlord. He has first to the fray. And the guys behind that is, behind him, is a strike squad. There are 7 in total. So you have 1 Justicar and 6 strike squad members. It's a little light on bodies, but hopefully the Purgation squad's firepower and then the durability of the characters of the Grey Knights will give them a chance. The Grey Knights are proving to be really difficult to find a good mix at 500 points. So if you have suggestions, feel free to leave those, and we will see how this game plays out. The Drukhari don't have an overwhelming amount of firepower, but the Grey Knights don't have an overwhelming number of bodies. So it could be a very interesting game. We'll come back after we get the secondaries done and deployment, and then we'll get this thing underway. The battlefield is set. The Grey Knights have deployed. Strike squad here on the left. They are within easy range of that objective marker there. The Purgation squad is deployed where they are also holding this objective marker that's underneath this archway, but also close enough to the front where they are in range of the objective marker over there in the corner. With the use of astral aim, they can reach it. There's also a squad of racks on the back side of the wall right here, and they're in range of that as well without having to move, so no penalty for moving and shooting. They're not in range of either of the Drukhari vehicles. Drukhari were sneaky, stayed just outside of 24 with those, but both vehicles are in range to make some quick moves to get around the board. The brother champion is right here, tucked away so he won't be targeted very easily, in range to get a nice Gate of Infinity from them, get across the board quickly. The Grandmaster is here. He will be giving the reroll ones and just in general supporting them. He has the Armored Resilience for his spell, so hopefully making the Purgation squad harder to get rid of, or himself, or somebody else nearby. So that's the deployment for Grey Knights. And on this side, we have two squads of racks neatly behind the building. This front squad had to be a little farther forward to stay in range. This is actually 3 inches here, so they're in range of that objective marker without having to do anything, and they're out of line of sight, which the Grey Knights don't care about unless they fail a spell. Then this squad of racks is in easy range to get to this objective marker, so they'll be able to hold that pretty fast. The Raider has, and Homunculus is right here, making them all toughness 5 for the time being. The Raider has the 3 grotesques inside, and it is outside of the 24-inch range. And then the Venom is empty, but with its movement and advance, it can go and challenge for that objective over there on the far side. And the Drukhari did decide to take, for one of their secondaries, they chose the Survey, which is the mission-specific one. If they can hold the 2 markers outside their deployment zone, then that's 5 points at the end of their turn. So there's a few ways that they can get over there and score that pretty quickly. And so that's essentially what they're doing. They're just setting everything up to be able to get out and control the board. Drukhari also took Assassinate because they're well aware of the problem that the Grey Knights characters can cause and they need to be dealt with. And they took Abhor the Witch because every Grey Knight unit killed gives them points. Grey Knights had a little bit tougher time to take and bring it down because they want to get rid of vehicles, and that's at least going to be 4 points for them. They took Linebreaker, planning to do some Gate of Infinity shenanigans, which obviously they can't score till later in the game, but it would give them 4 points a turn once they can score it. And the third one was the tricky one, which is why I'm having a hard time remembering it. Oh, Raise the Banners. That was the third one that they chose, which is also hard to do with Grey Knights because you don't want to give up any usefulness or function from your units with your Grey Knights army. But there are ways to go ahead and get some banners raised up pretty quickly, and then those can score points throughout the game. So the first turn might not see a lot of action from the Grey Knights, depending on who goes first. And speaking of, we'll do the roll-off. The purplish dice is for the Drukhari, and the white dice is for the Grey Knights. And we'll just roll this right here in the middle. All right, Grey Knights get the first turn. So we will come back after movement, and we'll go ahead and we'll go through the first turn. We'll come back and summarize what happened, and we'll get this game underway. All right, at the end of the turn, the strike squad moved up, raised the banners here. The Grandmaster stayed put, raised the banner on this objective because it says infantry models, doesn't specify whether it's characters or not. Purgation squad, after checking ranges, realized they were out of range of everything, so they were forced to move forward, so they went ahead and moved up. The Grandmaster did cast Armored Resilience on the Purgation squad. Hopefully it'll make them a little bit longer living. And Brotherhood Champion was cast through the warps with Gate of Infinity over to this objective marker, raising the banners here when he landed, and that was it. From the shooting phase, 1 rack was killed. The Purgation squad split fire a lot and just took a few wounds off of everything, so it took 1 rack took 3 wounds off the Raider and 3 wounds off the Venom, and that's it. So nothing really exciting going on here just yet, points wise. But the Grey Knights have raised the banners in 3 spots and spread the board out, and we'll have to force the Drukhari to come and deal with them. And the Brotherhood Champion's not something fun to deal with. And over on the other side, with 6 or 7 strike squad members, that's not going to be a good thing for certain targets. So I'll have to see how the Drukhari respond with this. Drukhari turn 1 coming up. Alright, so the Venom shot up here to the top of the building, was in rapid fire range here of the strike squad, was able to kill a strike squad member. The Raider moved up here to the center of the board, took some shots into the Purgation squad, but with armored resilience and a miraculous 6-up save from the disintegrator cannon, only 0 Purgation squad members were killed. Then the Raider made a charge, successfully charged the Purgation squad. They spent a CP, and in Overwatch killed the Raider, getting 2 points for Bring It Down, and then the Raider exploded upon the Purgation squad and killed the Justicar. So there was a lot of wounds here and wounds there. Then over here, this was a very anticlimactic moment. So this rack squad came up, got within range, so this banner has been taken down because they're troops and they're in range of the objective. So the banner was taken down. The Homunculus and the Grotesques both came around the corner. Everything's within 6 inches of the Brother Champion, and everything failed to charge. The Grotesques went first, re-rolled the failed charge. They rolled a 5 and a 5. Then the Racks rolled a 5, and then the Homunculus said, I'm not even going to try, because apparently we don't want to get into combat with the champion, and he didn't want to do it all by himself. So that was really kind of surprising. Figured all of them would get into combat with the champion. It is what it is. And then over here, this squad of Racks moved back. They said, we don't like being in range of all the Purgation squad guns, so they came back, still holding the objective, but now they have moved away from their line of fire. And that was the end of the turn. So, interesting things. The Drukhari still hold 2 objectives. The Raider's gone, but it did take out a Purgator. So, I don't know. The points are going to start coming now that the Grey Knights will go into turn 2 and score for the primary objectives. And we'll see if the points will be enough and if they'll have the longevity. The Brother Champion might need to rethink his life choices right now. So we'll find out what's going to happen. A lot of interesting things, tough decisions to make here. And while these dice are still out, I just have to pause for a second and point out, I've got my kitchen table wargaming dice. They came in, customdice.com. They do good work. It was not terribly expensive, and very excited to have the custom dice. This is the first game for the channel using the custom dice, so that is good news and fantastic thing to show off for the channel. Okay, I'm done being excited about my dice. There we go. End of Drukhari turn 2, going into the Grey Knights turn 1. Drukhari finished turn 1. I do apologize. And the Grey Knights are going into turn 2. End of the turn for the Grey Knights. Brotherhood Champion cast a Vortex of Doom, went off, did 1 wound to the Grotesque. Actually, did 2, but they ignored 1. Killed 1 Rack, took 1 wound off the Homunculus. Then the champion charged into the Racks and the Homunculus, avoiding the Grotesques, and he didn't actually get any wounds through on the Racks, but through shooting before the charge, he killed 3 in total, and that was enough to make them fail the morale. Kind of amazing. And seeing how you can't command point reroll that, then we did the attrition test, and the last guy also died. So the Racks, just embarrassing. Homunculus is left with 1 wound left. He's still there. And the Brotherhood Champion is not injured yet. Imagine the Grotesques will have something to say about that soon. Purgation Squad got Armored Resilience from the Grandmaster, then Gate of Infinity from the Strike Squad. Came over here. Remember, there used to be a Venom right here, so that was the only spot in enemy lines that they could land 9 inches away from those guys, 9 inches away from the Venom. And the Venom was killed actually by the Strike Squad back here, killed the Venom. And the Purgation Squad shot at this group of Grotesques and did nothing. 4-up invulnerable saves are nothing to sneeze at. So we're getting things set up over here for line breaker for the next turn for the Grey Knights with at least 1 unit, and hopefully the Brotherhood Champion can do some work here in his next combat phase. We'll see. It's interesting. So we're about to go into the Drukhari turn 2. We'll have to do some scoring, see where the points total up, and the Grey Knights did get the last points for bringing it down for killing the Venom. So they give them a little bit of a boost. They're at 4 points on secondaries, 2 points for raise the banners because they still have 2 banners up. But it's not an overwhelming points lead. So going into Drukhari turn 2, and we'll come back in the end with a summary. End of Drukhari turn. Grotesques made their charge. That was no surprise. The Brother Champion decided to fight the Homunculus instead of putting any effort into the Grotesques this turn of combat, and he was successful in killing the Homunculus. He did take some wounds, however, in the fight. The Homunculus hurt him, Grotesques both hurt him, or all hurt him as well, so he's down to 2 wounds remaining. Grotesques are still fine. These racks scooted back, getting farther away from the Purgation Squad just in the event that they decided to charge, even though that's not likely coming out of a gun line kind of unit. So, the way things are here, the Drukhari now own this objective again. They still hold that objective. However, at the beginning of the turn, the units that were the 2 closest units that were within range to control the objective were the Champion and 1 Grotesque, so it ended up being contested, meaning that the Drukhari did not actually score more than 5 points. They were only holding 1. So the Grey Knights ended up outscoring them in primary this turn. However, they're making their way through the Champion, although now that the Vexator mask is gone, the Champion might have a little bit of a chance against the Grotesques. We'll have to see. That'll be interesting. And back here, nothing has happened because the Drukhari don't have any long-range firepower anymore, which was actually something that was a bit of a concern with that list, and probably overly aggressive play with the transports in the beginning is going to end up being a downfall for the Drukhari. We will see. Going into Grey Knights, turn 3. Back at the table is getting a little empty for the Grey Knights. The Grandmaster has jumped away thanks to the Strike Squad over here. They have now shunted everybody away from this back part of the field, but they are going to continue to hold that objective because they don't want any Drukhari trickeration coming around to bite them in the rear and allow the Drukhari to score the survey secondary. Over here, the Grotesques actually killed the Brotherhood Champion, but only with 2 wounds that got through, so the command point that was remaining for the Grey Knights was used for the Champion, and he saved the wound. Otherwise, that would have been the end of him, and that would have been a bit of a problem over here, because the Champion still hasn't killed a guy. He did take a wound off in smiting, but that's the only reason that 1 Grotesque is now on 2 wounds. Getting kind of interesting over here. Durability is something else with these guys when they have a 4-up invulnerable save. Homunculus is now dead. I think he died in the last turn, actually. Yeah, he did. So that's not news. However, this squad of racks is dead. The Purgation Squad took care of them. The Grandmaster came down over here, so we're now holding or scoring Line Breaker, and thanks to his rerolls, actually, the Grey Knights Purgation Squad was able to kill the racks, because without the rerolls, I don't think they would have gotten enough wounds through to actually kill that squad of racks. And then there would have been a use of the Black Cornucopian stratagem for that squad of racks to come back, probably in the back corner, and steal the objective that has been abandoned by the Grey Knights. but that did not happen. So now the Grey Knights are looking pretty good. We're going to come back for the Drukhari turn 3, but really all that's left is a squad of grotesques working on killing this guy. Oh, I did forget to mention, in the previous turn when the homunculus was still alive, the Drukhari spent 2 command points to try the Crucible of Malediction stratagem on a 4-up. The Psyker, any Psyker within 6 inches would have suffered D3 mortal wounds. However, the dice roll was a 1, and it ended up being a wasted command point, or 2 command points. So that was kind of a bummer. One of the first times that stratagem potentially could have been useful. It had the potential to kill the Brotherhood champion, but it ended up not going off. So it's probably why it wasn't mentioned in the last turn. All right, so Drukhari turn 3, and we'll see if the grotesques can finally finish off this champion. If they can, that'll be some points in the bank for them. And then I guess the rest of the game is probably going to be pretty over after that. Anyways, we'll come back and find out. They've done it. The grotesques killed the champion. He is removed. Grotesques stand. They have proven to be more durable than the Grey Knights were prepared for, but the rest of the army, maybe not so much. And it was really interesting to see that the Brotherhood champion was unable to touch these guys in combat. That was kind of a surprise. So that was the end of the turn 3. The Drukhari are down by a lot of points. Probably should concede at this point. Going to turn 4, I'm going to go ahead and just play through it. It probably will be a shooting phase. These guys are going to move forward. The strike squad may or may not jump over to help. Just we'll play through it and we'll get the points and see if these grotesques are tough enough to last through a whole round of shooting. We'll come back at the end of Grey Knight's turn 4. Well, shooting phase is done for the Grey Knights. 1 mortally wounded grotesque remains. He has backed up. The Grandmaster moved forward, stayed within range of reroll 1s for them, aiming at getting this objective here. As it turns out, the Grey Knights were only controlling 1 objective back here with the strike squad. So only got 5 for primary, still got 2 more for raise the banners. And that's really about all there is to say. So Drukhari will score 5 for the primary. That's all they're going to get. And then turn 5 for the Grey Knights will be quick. Be real quick. I think the strike squad might come over and I don't know. They've done all the scoring they can do, so they might as well come out here and play. They might come out and try to make a charge on this last grotesque and table them. We'll have to see when we come back. And turn 5, Grey Knights. All right, game is over. Strike squad jumped over, killed the grotesque. And that's about all there was to say. Final score was 60-33. The Drukhari list did not have enough. The durability was decent, but there was not enough firepower to deal with anything, even baby Marines like the strike squad or the purgation squad. So that's interesting. If you have a good Drukhari list at 500 points, please post it in the comments for me. Would love some suggestions on that. I think this Grey Knights list was okay. It's tricky trying to build a 500 point list. So I'm kind of experimenting with that, having some fun. I listened to Frontline Gaming podcasts, and there was recently one, I want to say that Chapter Tactics did, about combat patrols becoming a little bit more competitive and something that more people are getting interested in. And so I'm looking to do a few more of these combat patrol games and show some lists. And there's some challenges to 500 points. That's all I've got to say about that. So thanks for watching. It's been another Kitchen Table Wargaming production. Hope you enjoyed it. And always leave feedback, comments. If you see me flubbing on some rules, let me know. I'll do my best to keep it accurate and to play competitive with the rules. So the next game that should be coming out on the channel is actually going to be my Drukhari list, a 2,000 point Drukhari list, which is pretty tasty, versus an Imperial Fists successor chapter. I'm not sure the official name of the successor chapter, but that has potential to be a dirty, deadly game. I like the Drukhari list that I have at 2,000 points, but against good old-fashioned Space Marines, could be short. So be looking for that. It'll be coming out soon. Thank you for watching Kitchen Table Wargaming Productions. Thank you, Hostile Galaxy, for the terrain features here. And have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your day.